Hi, everyone, and welcome to this program of the Arkansas Small Business and Technology Development Center. We're a one-stop shop for all of your small business consulting needs. We're a no-cost service in partnership with the Small Business Administration of the U.S. government, as well as the University of Arkansas, and also some nonprofit community grant organizations. Our primary goal here at the ASBTDC is local economic development through helping our local entrepreneurs and small business owners and future business owners to start, grow, or improve their business. And we really enjoy putting on these programs for you in order to help you to do that. All right. So here's our phone number if you want to get in touch with us, as well as our website, a little bit more about us. Locally, we offer complimentary one-on-one consulting programs that cover all relevant topics for business owners. And if you're not already a client, we would encourage you to visit us at sbtdc.uark.edu and get a consultation, or just email us at the email address you see on your screen. So my name's Scott. I've been a consultant here for coming up on 2 years pretty quickly. I've got a corporate finance background as well as a small business background. I worked in corporate America for a little bit, but I've also owned 2 of my own small businesses, both of those with my wife. My specialty is entrepreneurship and finance. So I like to help people in the startup process really understand, what their business idea is, and if their business idea has the potential to make money or to help the entrepreneur reach their financial goals. So I can help you walk through all of that. That's what I really enjoy doing, but it can also help you with, marketing needs and other business needs you might have as well. We have other consultants on staff that also have other specialties in marketing and branding and social media and that kind of thing. So if you ever want to get in touch with them, just register as a client or just shoot us an email, and we'd love to meet with you. All right, so with that, today's webinar is all about bookkeeping and accounting. It is just a brief introduction to sort of explain what those are and how to get started in that process with your business. Discussing, what you need and why you need it, and just how to get it going, because it is a critical and crucial part of your business. All right, so what is the purpose of bookkeeping and accounting? And we're going to define these terms here in just a minute too, but just why do we even have to do this? I thought that would be a good place to start. So the first reason, legal compliance. So the US government does require certain things of every business in order to be, legal, I guess you could say. Some of that's just tax. Some of it's, other legal type filings that you have to file throughout the year. We can talk to you about what all those are. Some of those things are, sales tax, franchise tax, income tax, corporate income tax, whether you're taxed, on your income or distributions or all kinds of legal things that need to be done, that can only be done if you're keeping good books, because the government charges those fees and some of those other fees based on the amount of money that you're making or the amount of money that you're bringing in. And so it's really important to keep good books and keep good track of the activity of your business so that you can stay legal within your business and not have to pay any fines or anything like that. So your taxes and reporting purposes. So the other reason, and the primary reason, and what today is really about why bookkeeping and accounting exists, as practices within small business and in all business, is for decision making. So most of business, a lot of business is, success is dependent upon making really good decisions. And you have a much higher likelihood of making really good decisions if you have really good data. And bookkeeping and accounting are the practices of giving business owners really good data that they can use to make decisions. So that's what bookkeeping and accounting are really about. So if you ever view it as a headache or a hassle, it can be tough work. It is something that isn't necessarily always income generating, immediately, but it is one of the most crucial aspects of your business, because it is what generates the data that helps you make some of the most critical business decisions that you will ever make. So that's why bookkeeping and accounting exists and why it's important for you to do on a regular basis. Yeah, so it generates financial reports, and it helps you do what I call seeing your business. So bookkeeping and accounting help you see your business. What do I mean by that? So it's hard to really understand what's going on with your business or what your business looks like. When people say, you know, how can you tell your business is doing well? You know, there's not a whole lot of things that people can usually point to that aren't financial. You could say you're opening new buildings or you're getting more customers, but sometimes you can have more buildings or more customers or even more employees, but some of those that growth may be less efficient growth or maybe, you know, growth in the wrong areas, and you can't really know unless you have those underlying financial reports. And so what I like to say is, you know, the financial reports are what help you see your business well. So, you know, imagine if, you know, you're on a submarine and you're kind of looking through the periscope. Those guys have a very, you know, narrow view, but that's not the only instrument they use. They use all kinds of other, you know, sonar and, you know, sound, you know, type stuff to help them understand their surroundings a lot better. And being a part of a business sometimes can kind of feel like being in that submarine. But getting that financial data can really help you, you know, broaden that picture, you know, make that picture go from low def to high def, basically. But that's really what accounting is for. So what is the difference between accounting and bookkeeping? So an accounting or an accountant, also known as a certified public accountant, what they really do is they primarily help businesses set up their accounting systems, set up their bookkeeping systems in order to provide the best data to the owner that they possibly can, so that that owner can make really good decisions. They're really seeing things from a higher level than the bookkeeper. They're doing a lot of advisory services and helping you sometimes, not always, but sometimes analyze your financial data to help you make good decisions. And they also help you do tax planning. And they're usually the ones running the accounting firms, whereas the bookkeeper typically works for a CPA. And what the bookkeeper does is the manual data entry and the reconciliations every month according to the instructions of the CPA or the accountant and the business owner. So different businesses can be set up different ways for their books to look different ways in order to provide data in a different format, depending on the industry that you're in or the business that you're in or the specific you know, data that you're trying to see in a certain way. And what the bookkeeper does is they take instruction from the accountant, they take instruction from the business owner, and they enter the data in according to those instructions. So for instance, if you go purchase something, that something that you purchase could be classified in a lot of different ways. There's several different, you know, categories that purchase could be classified under. And so you're going to set up with your accountant how to classify that purchase, and then your bookkeeper will be the one who actually clicks the buttons and does the manual entry to make sure that purchase gets classified in the right way. So that's kind of the difference between the accountant and the bookkeeper. Almost every accountant, I would say every accountant is a bookkeeper or has the ability to be a bookkeeper, but not every bookkeeper is an accountant or a CPA. So what do you get from an accountant or from a bookkeeper? So they should be providing you with your tax filings. They can do payroll for you. They can provide audit support for you if you get audited by the government. And they also will provide you financial reports and advice. So when you go to a bookkeeper or when you go to an accountant, not necessarily a bookkeeper, but when you go to an accounting firm or you hire a CPA, these are the four things at a very basic level that you're going to be getting back from that accountant. You don't have to get all of these things, but generally these are the four things that you can get. At minimum, you'll get the financial reports, but then you can also add on tax filings, payroll, and audit support. Almost everybody gets tax filings and financial reports, and then usually payroll is added in there, and audit support is usually included if you're doing tax filings. So these are the things that you're getting from your accountant for your small business in order to help you be able to manage it better and stay legally compliant. So it helps you make better decisions and helps you see your business like we went over earlier. So the question I always get from everybody is, can I or should I do this myself, or should I hire somebody to do it? It's a great question. And so here's some things to consider when you're thinking about that. And then we're going to get into more of the mechanics of how you make all of this work, how to get the bookkeeping started, how to hire an accountant, how to get that process started for your small business. But before you do that, we want to think about, should you do this yourself or should you have an accountant do it? So first things to consider, think about the stage of business that you're in. If you're just in a proof of concept phase, you're just kind of thinking about a business, you don't have to have an accountant yet. You can, but it's not super important. You should be keeping track of your expenses and what you're spending, because all of those things will be deductible later on when you file taxes. But if you're not very big and your business isn't very complex, then you're more likely to be able to do it yourself and not necessarily need an accountant. However, if you're beyond the startup phase, if you're beyond the proof of concept phase, you're spending a lot of time in sales, you're training employees, you're buying product, all those kind of things, it may become soon time for you to hire an accountant. Not sure what happened there. Let's start that over. There we go. All right, so think about your size, your stage, the size of your business. If you're just a one-man show or a two-man show, you could probably do this yourself. If you're starting to grow the large business, it may be time to begin to look for an accountant. You also want to think about the cost. So you want to think about your cost on your time as opposed to the money that you're paying a bookkeeper or an accountant to do that for you for the time that you're saving. You want to think about your ROI on your time, or your return on your investment on your time. So for instance, if you're the primary salesperson for your business and you're also the owner operator, and you're selling several $1,000s or hundreds of thousands or tens of thousands of dollars a year, but you're spending 10 hours a month or 15 hours a month on your bookkeeping and on your accounting, how much in sales or in revenue are you giving up in those 10 to 15 hours in order to save the few $100s a month that you'd be spending on an accountant? You want to try to look at those two things and weigh that cost. However, if you're in operations and that's what you do, and you've got other key people around you that are doing all the things that are bringing money, and things are kind of systematized and set up to where you can spend time doing that bookkeeping and accounting, it may be worth it for you to keep it in-house. But it's something to think about. It's something that we're happy to help you work through. You also want to think about the complexity of your business. If you're just a really simple business, like if you sell, online classes, just online, you have no inventory, you have no employees, nothing like that. You're just a very simple business. You could probably do it on your own. However, once you start getting into things like multiple locations, multiple revenue streams, lots of different products, lots of different inventory, lots of different employees, maybe time to go ahead and hire an accountant. I apologize, y'all. I'm not sure what is going on with the screen communication there. Let me see if we can start that one more time. All right, there we go. Much better. All right. So if you do want to do it yourself, how do you get started, or how do I do this? Well, I like to say there's the good, better, and best options. So a good method would be pencil and paper. So if you're small, you're just getting started, it is perfectly fine and totally normal for you just to literally use pen and paper to write down all of your sales and all of your expenses that you've got going every month. So that's totally normal, especially in the early startup phase. The next phase up, which would be the good, maybe better classification, would be to use a spreadsheet software like Microsoft Excel or Google Sheets, which is free, that you can get online. It's a really great way to organize your data and to be able to record your data. It just takes a lot of time to enter that information. So and it doesn't do the categorizing, and it's just very manually intensive, but it is something good for you to do. And I've seen some people use it early on very effectively. The next step up would be using personal financial software, management software, which I've seen some people do. It's personal financial management software that people are using for business, which you can do. It's a little bit cheaper than some business software. For instance, Mint is free. YNAB, I think, is $14 a month, which is actually on par with QuickBooks, but you can use these and you can use them effectively. You're not going to get the business financial statements, but you are going to be able to group and categorize your sales and your expenses, and you'll be able to see some pretty good data through using either one of those programs. And they sync well online with your different online financial service providers. So they're pretty good, and they're definitely more efficient than pencil or paper and Excel and Google. So the next step up, if you're doing it yourself, would be to use a service like QuickBooks, Wave accounting software, or Xero accounting software. If you're doing it yourself, I would put these three online accounting software providers in the best category. They do take a little bit of learning, but you can learn to do it if your business is pretty simple with no accounting background. I think QuickBooks is about $15 a month at the most basic, maybe 25 or 30 for the next step up. Wave is actually free, but they do require you to pay for extras like payroll. And then Xero is, a lot like QuickBooks, but was designed out of Australia, so it's kind of got a little bit different bent to it, but people do use it. It's a little bit more aesthetically pleasing for some people, and the navigation's a little bit different. But those are some really good options for you. So if you're going into business for yourself, or you're in business for yourself, and you're looking at starting some kind of system for yourself to keep your books, to keep your accounting, these are your 4 options that you can be looking at that are perfectly acceptable. All right, so if you do start it yourself and you do it yourself, what do you need? And then we're going to talk about what your accountant needs here in a minute, but the list is the same. What do you need in order to do your bookkeeping and accounting well? So the first thing that you need is you need to make sure that you are tracking your sales and your income data. So for most businesses, like if you've got Shopify, or if you've got a coffee shop or a retail store and you've got a point of sale system up front, or if you're using QuickBooks and you're sending invoices to people and you're getting those back from people, your sales data is located in those locations. It could be in your Shopify reports, or your Etsy reports, or your Squarespace reports. It could also be in your POS, like if you use Square at checkout, your sales will be in there. Or if you're submitting invoices through some kind of online service, you can collect your sales data there. But you need to know what your sales data is, and any other cash sources that are coming into your business. So not just sales data, but cash sources as well. If people are loaning your money, or if you've got investment income, or any other kind of source of cash coming into your business. So you want to also keep track of your expenses. You want to have access to your credit card statements or receipts, or any other source of cash outflow that you've got. You want to keep a list of assets and debts, because you're going to want to know what you owe people and what people owe you. And you're also going to want to know the schedule of when those payments are due, both for you to pay people and for them to pay you. You're going to want to have the information for the owners and investors. You're going to probably need their tax ID so you can file taxes. You're also going to want to understand profit percentages if you're in a partnership or a multi-member LLC, but you're going to need that information as well. Obviously, you're going to need your bank statements so that you can do your reconciliations and make sure that everything that you're writing down reconciles to your cash balance every month. And you're also going to need your tax info, like your business type and your tax returns, your sales tax and your EIN. And then you also need a very thorough understanding. Sorry, there's a typo there, but a very thorough understanding of your business and your operations, because you need to know what your KPIs or your key performance indicators are, so that when you record all of this information, it doesn't just go nowhere, but it actually becomes useful information to you. So you don't just want to record information so you can pay your taxes once a year. You want to be able to record information and put it in a format that is useful to you so that you can make decisions. And the first step in that is understanding what your key performance indicators are. So is that your average ticket at checkout? Is it your number of customers or your number of sales? Is it the amount of sales? Is it your profit, per product? What are your KPIs? You need to determine what those are, so that as you record your financial data, you can record it in a way that gives you those key performance indicators to help you make decisions later on. All right, and again, you can put any questions you might have in the Q&A box or in the chat box, and I'll get to those as soon as we're done. All right, so how do you hire a bookkeeper or an accountant? So the first, if you do want to hire a bookkeeper or an accountant to do your bookkeeping and accounting for you, here's what I suggest to people, because we have heard of people having a difficult time with their accountants, and we're trying to improve that process, or to help you improve the quality of service that they're providing you. So first of all, you really need to know what you want. Accountants, they know what they want you to know, but a lot of business owners, from the accountant's perspective, the business owners tend to not be as interested in the financial data as the accountants wish they were. And the accountants don't want to be pushy because they want to keep your business. And so they tend to undershare or underhelp and in reality, they want to help you a lot more. But then when you don't ask for that information that they know that you should have, or if you're not clear with your expectations, they tend to just find more clients to bill more hours or to file more taxes so that they can make more money. So when you go in to hire an accountant, really know what you want. And we're going to get into some of the things that you're going to need. I'm going to tell you some things that you need to know to want when you go interact with your accountant. So second of all, you want to communicate your expectations. So know what you want, but then be very clear in communicating with your accountant with exactly what it is you want. If you need to write it down, and then tell them, or if you need to send it to them in an email, say, these are the things that I want. Because again, the accountants know what you should be asking for, but they don't want to be overly pushy with you. And sometimes, to be honest with you, there are accountants out there that aren't, the best. And so they don't communicate those things to you just because they're not great accountants. So you want to communicate exactly what your expectations are, because no client is the same. You want to try to find an accountant, thirdly, that specializes in your industry. So if you're in the restaurant industry, there are accountants out there who specialize in the food and beverage industry. If you're in manufacturing, you may want to try to find somebody who specializes in manufacturing. You really want to try to find somebody with some experience, because a lot of times the way that businesses operate, the way that their books are done, and the way that their accounting and the reports are set up, they're very different, or then the processes are very different. And if that accountant has never done that before, if they've never understood how to account for wastage in a restaurant, or how to account for inventory or cost of goods in a restaurant, that's going to create headaches for you, and it's going to create headaches for them. So you want to try to find somebody who has, at least, even if they don't specialize, that they've at least got experience in your industry or your type of business. You also want to find somebody who is willing to provide solutions to your business's unique challenge. Like I said, every business is different. The best accountants are the ones who are out there that say, I want to grow with your business. I want to help your business. I want to solve problems with your business. And so know what some of those problems that are specific to your business are. I can help you identify some of those, or you can sit down with your team and identify what some of those are. And a good accountant will be willing to help you work through those problems. And lastly, you want an accountant that communicates clearly to you what their obligations are, what their deadlines are, and what their pricing is. If any of these things aren't clear, you're probably going to have some friction with your accountant. So you want to make sure that they are also communicating to you what their obligations, deadlines, and pricing are as clearly as you're communicating to them what your expectations and desired outcomes are. There's actually one more. You want, in the beginning with an accountant, you want to make sure that you're maintaining a very professional relationship, especially early on, and be willing to switch accountants if you're not getting the services or the level of service that you believe that you should be getting. It actually happens more often than we would like to admit in the financial industry, and I'm sure more than anybody would want to happen. But relationships with accountants, there have been difficulties with them. It's not always easy. And you do have choice out there. And so in the beginning, you want to keep that relationship professional. You want to hold your end of the bargain, and you want to hold them accountable to their end of the bargain. And if they're not living up to your expectations, or if they're not providing the level of service that you communicated in the beginning, you need to be willing to switch. So maintain that professionalism, because I know none of us like to cut off business relationships. It's hard, it's difficult. No matter how you say it, it's a breakup, and breakups just aren't fun. But you've got to be willing to switch, because this data that they need to be providing you is one of the most crucial pieces of your business that you have to have, and it's got to be right, and it's got to be on time. All right, so again, what do they need from you? They need the same thing that you need. So they need your sales and income data, your expenses, your list of assets and debts, owner information, bank statements, tax information, thorough understanding of your business and operations so they can set up your accounting system for you, and they need to know your KPIs. But what is important here more than anything to know is they need all this information, but they also need to know what you want to know so that you can make really great decisions about your business. And they're going to have some input on that as well. All right, so here's some normal expectations that you can have on an accountant. So number one, you can very reasonably, and you should expect them to keep your bookkeeping updated monthly. If it's not being done monthly, try to find out why. Maybe something happened with their family, who knows, you never know. But this is a normal expectation, and you should set this expectation and state this expectation up front that, hey, every single month, I need to make sure my books are updated. So what does that actually mean? Well, it doesn't mean that on at any given time in any given month, you're going to be able to see the current month's financial data. That's typically not how it works. Usually, the books for the previous month's business are closed on the 5th business day of the following month. So we're in March right now. So if I wanted to see what my sales were for February, I wouldn't be able to typically go see that right now, but I should be able to see it on the 5th business day of March for February. So that's usually how it works. Some accountants, especially in small business, the deadlines are a little bit longer. So it might be, March 10th or March 15th before you can see everything from February. But whatever that is, set that deadline with your accountant, expect it with your accountant, and communicate that expectation to them that you expect your bookkeeping to be kept up to date monthly so that you can see the updated financial reports every single month. So again, you want those financial reports to be updated monthly, and you want them to always be available. And by always be available, I'm not talking about the current month, I'm talking about previous months. And generally, they either need to be able to send those to you when they're finished, via snail mail or email through PDF, or if you've got QuickBooks Online, they can give you access to run those reports in any number of variations at any point in time. And so if you can do anything like QuickBooks Online, where you can see that data all the time, I really recommend it. They should always file your taxes on time. That is a big deal. I've heard stories recently of it not being done and not being done correctly, because there are other taxes that are due throughout the year, but that is something that you should expect. And if they miss, then they should compensate you for that. They should provide you audit support if they're filing your taxes. So once they sign their name and say, yep, your taxes are accurate, and then the government comes and audits you, they should be willing to back you up to provide all the documentation you need for that audit. And fifth, they should also be willing to provide you regularly scheduled meetings to review your books, to see what's going on, to make sure there's no mistakes. If you see something that's classified wrong or doesn't look correctly, they should be willing to give you those explanations and answer those questions. And they should give you a set number of hours for the monthly fee that you pay that's not on top of that monthly fee that you pay. Sometimes it might be if they're charging you a super cheap rate, but don't let them nickel and dime you. Just try to have them include that in the monthly fee that you pay, that you get maybe 2 hours of meeting per month just to ask questions or something like that. And they should or they could also be providing you ideas and general advising for improving your business, because they're really going to have a good understanding of the cost structure of your business, maybe where some efficiencies are that you can take advantage of, or maybe some areas that you could afford to invest in more. So these are just some normal expectations that you can have for your accountant. So what's the cost on bookkeeping versus hiring an accountant? You don't have to hire an accountant, but you can hire a bookkeeper. You don't have to hire both. You can only hire one or the other. So if you only hire a bookkeeper and you're really trying to save money, you can get a good bookkeeper, just a standalone bookkeeper to do your books, to enter all the data into your QuickBooks once it's set up, for about $20 to $30 an hour. And they should be able to take care of that in about 4 to 8 hours a month on average is what we see for our small business owners. So not a whole lot of money. So at minimum there, 20 times 4, so $80 a month. That's not very much money, but that's the absolute bare minimum. And then 30 times 8. I'm blanking here on my math. I shouldn't be doing that because I'm a finance guy. So $240 a month. On the higher end for just a bookkeeper part-time, just to fill in your books every month. If you want to hire a bookkeeper on staff full-time, in my opinion, the minimum salary for a really good bookkeeper that with not a lot of experience, but somebody who's smart, reliable, and knows what they're doing, would be about $35,000 a year. If you want to outsource all of your bookkeeping and all of your accounting needs and have like a full service accountant for your business, they usually start around $300 a month and go up. The best ones are probably between $500 and $1,000 a month, depending on the size of your business. But the best thing to do is just to give them a call, tell them the services that you want, and see what their price range is. But it's going to be different depending on the business. If you want to hire a full-time accountant on staff, 40 hours a week, if you're a small business and they're the only person working for you, it's going to be more than $65,000, because they're kind of going to be effectively like your CFO, and that's probably going to be more in the $80,000 to $90,000 range. But if you've just got somebody on your staff who isn't really doing the CFO role, they're just kind of overseeing your books, doing the bookkeeping for you, filing your taxes for you, and doing some of the slightly more complicated stuff that bookkeepers don't do, and they're pretty new, just out of college, certified CPA. 65,000 is probably about where they would start. Yeah, so that's all we've got for you today. Just a brief introduction. I would love to help you get started with getting your bookkeeping and your accounting going, because businesses are so individually unique. It's something that I really want to talk about with each of you individually. It's tough to put just in a webinar, but this is just a good intro about what bookkeeping and accounting are. So it's doing the work of recording your business's financial data in order to provide you financial reports that assist you in the decision-making process for your business, to help you make really good decisions and also help you stay legally compliant. We gave you a little bit of info about how to get that process started and some introductory methods to be able to do that. But again, we're a cost-free service here, and we'd love to help you get started. So with that, I'm going to move on to some questions. And if you want to log off, that's just fine. But let me go over here and read. We've got a few questions in here. Give me just a second. And I'm going to get these recorded. All right, so the first question is, will this be available for replay? Yes, this will be available for replay on our website shortly. QuickBooks, it's great software. It can be a little tough to learn if you don't have any bookkeeping experience, but it is really good. And again, you just kind of got to weigh that cost benefit analysis on whether you want to do it yourself or hire somebody to do it for you. What's the difference between online QuickBooks and one loaded on a computer? So usually, there's QuickBooks Online and there's QuickBooks Desktop. QuickBooks Online, if you're doing it online, the biggest difference between that and QuickBooks Desktop is that it doesn't matter where you are in the world. If you've got a computer and an internet connection, you can see your accounting information and you can upload and download, information and run reports and that kind of thing. QuickBooks Desktop exists only on your computer. It is not linked to the internet at all. So for instance, if your accountant has QuickBooks Desktop, the only way that you're going to be able to see those reports is if they mail you those reports. Whereas if you've got it online, you can go in at any time. You can set parameters and run the reports that you want to see and see how your business is doing. QuickBooks Desktop for larger businesses is a little bit more robust than QuickBooks Online. It's got some more features. It's got some better inventory management, features and invoicing management features, and it's a little bit more robust than just QuickBooks Online, and it might be something that you want to look at. So what's the benefit of hiring a full-time accountant for your company? So if you were to hire, I would say, you probably don't need, most small businesses don't need a full-time accountant. You would only need a full-time accountant if you had so many transactions going on in your business that you're paying an outside accountant just as much as you would be, hiring somebody on to be solely dedicated to your business. So if your business was really complex and it just doesn't matter, what kind of service you were getting from an outside accountant that you were hiring, that you weren't getting the service that you wanted, and you wanted somebody that all the time, every day, was only worried about your business, then that's why you would hire them, basically for their focus and for their time and attention and maximizing every little dollar in your business and every advantage you could get tax-wise. All right, so what are some good websites to find accountants? Can the ASBTDC recommend any? So we have a list. We don't vet the list or anything like that. It's just accountants that we know of that that we have. We're not really supposed to endorse one over the other or anything like that, but we've got a few. And if you want to email me, just at my email, it's that sl072@uark.edu. I'd be happy to send that to you. Should we take one of the QuickBooks classes that are offered by you guys? That's really hard for me to answer unless I know your specific situation. But I would say the best recommendation I could give there is just to get in touch with me and we can talk about it. And if there's a question I can't answer for you, then you can pay for one of the QuickBooks, classes. There's a ton of good information out there on YouTube, and I would give that a shot first. If you've got no experience in bookkeeping at all, and it's not something that you enjoy doing, I would encourage you to try to find somebody to do it or find another way to do it. All right. Any other questions? What could a business expect to spend to hire an accountant just to file taxes? Somewhere around $300 usually. If you're just a normal small business, probably somewhere around, $200 to $500, depending on the complexity. Because it's not just about your business either. It's usually about, it's how much you've got going on with your business and your personal, and then how complex your business is and that kind of thing. But I would say the $200 to $500 range is a pretty good range. How much more? All right, so I don't offer any QuickBooks classes specifically, but Rhonda out of Arkansas Tech does offer QuickBooks classes. I'm not sure how much they are. I want to say they're around $150 to $250 a class. They're not cheap, but Rhonda is really great. And I would just encourage you to give her a call down there at ASBTDC at Arkansas Tech University in Russellville. All right, next question. Should we consider hiring a full-time accountant for security purposes? Example, our company works on sensitive information. So I would say that depends on your client. I would ask your client what their security concerns might be and what their security requirements are. And then your accountant needs to abide by whatever those security concerns are. And you need to disclose to your client that you do contract an outside accountant. Great questions. All right. Well, it's 2:38. I'm going to hang around for a few more minutes. Let me see what Rhonda's last name. Somebody just asked what Rhonda's last name is. Hawkins. Rhonda Hawkins. And her email is rhawkins, and then the numeral 2. So rhawkins2 at atu.edu. But I'm going to hang around for a little bit longer, and we'll see how many other questions we have. Are there different QuickBooks programs based on the different size of the company? Yes. So yes, her last name is Hawkins, and yes, there are different QuickBooks versions for different company sizes. So they have it in 4 different categories. So it's like, like startup and small business and enterprise, and I think there's one more. Best thing to do is just to go to QuickBooks.com and go to pricing information and just click on it, and it'll pull up those 4 different categories, and it'll show you in each box. It'll compare the different versions for you and show you how much they are. I think that it starts around $15 a month for the cheapest one, and maybe goes up to as much as $250 a month for the most expensive version. And again, there is another service out there called Wave. It's a free bookkeeping software online. All right, just gonna wait for a few more questions to see if we have any come in. I'll hang around for a few minutes. I have actually never used Wave. So the question was, is QuickBooks better than Wave? I don't know. I've never used Wave. We have some clients who really love it, and they say for it being free and for what they're doing, it's a really great value for them, and that it's very capable, and that it does everything that it does everything for them at their business size and complexity that QuickBooks does. So I would say it gets the job done. All right, we're just gonna wait. So next question, what's a good program to keep track of customers? So you're talking about customer resource management software. I could help you try to figure that out. It's not something I looked into for this webinar, so I'm not prepared with a good answer. Sometimes programs like Shopify, when you do online sales, they'll have just some good information in there for you, just built in. Salesforce might be something you want to look into, but if you want to, shoot me an email, I'd be happy to look into that with you, but it's not something I was prepared for right now. For my small business, I use Shopify, and I could go in there at any time and type in the customer's email and see their entire, purchase history, and I could sort to see who had purchased the most and the least and that kind of thing. But other than that, I've never personally used anything, but that's what we're here for too, is to help you research those kind of things to find what might be best for you and your business. Okay. Good questions, everybody. I'll hang around for a little bit longer to see if we have any more questions come in. All right, I had a question come in. Is doing some light bookkeeping for yourself difficult, like short-term rentals? It depends on what your experience is and what your personality is, to be honest with you. For some people, they take they take to bookkeeping like a fish to water. Other people absolutely hate it with everything that they are, and it just doesn't matter how much time they spend doing it. They're never gonna enjoy it or be good at it. So it kind of depends on who you are. I would say most people, maybe half the population can do it. Your brain has to work a little bit of a certain way. Not necessarily about math. It's more about, the way information is organized in your head, the way that QuickBooks and the way that accounting works. It organizes information and records information in a very specific way. And there's a big portion of the population, their brain works that way. And there's another portion of the population, their brain does not store information that way. And it just doesn't make sense. And so if you're one of those people whose brains works like QuickBooks, yeah, it could be pretty easy for you. If your brain doesn't work like QuickBooks, then it might be extremely difficult. But it is possible to learn for sure. And I would say it also depends on the complexity. I've got a client that's a plumber. He's got a gazillion different little parts on his truck at any given time, and trying to keep track of all that in his inventory with his QuickBooks software, it was just, a headache beyond headaches. So we got him over to an accountant, but he's a super smart guy, has a really great business, but just wasn't for him because of the complexity of his business, which is totally understandable. Can I recommend accounting references for manufacturing? I don't have any, but again, if you want to email me, if you want to send me an email at sl072@uark.edu, I'll send you our list, and you can definitely call 2 or 3 and ask. How did my client solve the inventory problem? If you want to shoot me an email, we can set up a time to talk about some different ways that you can manage your inventory. It's a little beyond the scope of this webinar right now, but I'd be happy to talk about that with you one-on-one. It'll be a little bit of a conversation. Okay. Really glad everybody showed up. Thank you so much for the questions. So 2 big things to take away from today is, why do you need bookkeeping and accounting? Because these are the primary things that give you the tools to be able to make decisions, and your business will succeed more directly proportionally with the quality of the decisions that you make. Good business is about making good decisions, and those good decisions are based on good data, which you get through accounting and bookkeeping. So it's worth every penny for sure. And then the second thing is to get that process started, what you can do, and some different methods, and then how to go about hiring an accountant if you want to get an accountant. All right. Looks like that's all the questions we've got. Thank you all for being here, and feel free to check out our website for other events. We've got a couple of other good ones coming up today and tomorrow as well. I also have a 4-hour-long financial boot camp that lasts from 9 to 1 o'clock that I do about every 3 to 5 weeks or so. It's great for small business owners who are trying to get into doing some bookkeeping on their own and understanding their business from a financial perspective. I would love to have you guys there. You can sign up on our website for that. I'm actually hosting one tomorrow. There's 10 slots available. We've got 8 people signed up, so there's 2 slots left, and it's going to be held in Bentonville. Would love to have you there. Thank you guys so much for coming, and have a good day.